Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the Oxford MBA Laidlaw Scholarship Information Session. We'll just give it a few moments. I can see that the attendee list is slowly rising. Okay, perfect. I think we have everyone. So good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever it is that you're dialing from today. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Mandeep Mahal, and I'm one of the MBA recruitment and admissions managers in the MBA recruitment and admissions team. And I'm delighted to be here today to speak about the Laidlaw Scholarship. And in today's session, I'm going to give you some information about the scholarship, how to apply the process, the opportunity it brings. But then I'd say most importantly, you're going to hear from some of our Laidlaw scholars today. And I'm really excited to be joined by some alumni and a current student as well. So I'm joined by Shruti, Shui and Achika, and you'll get to hear from them shortly. You will get the opportunity to hear from them and ask questions. And please do go ahead now and use the Q&A function to submit those questions, and we will get to those later. And also, please feel free to say hello in the chat as well. Do let us know where you're dialing from. We would like this session to be interactive. Okay, so to get us started then, I'm just going to show you this this quote from our CEO, from the Laidlaw Foundation. And what I think is important to take from this quote is two parts. Is extraordinary woman and who would not otherwise be able to afford an MBA. So we are looking for exceptional talent who want to lead in a responsible way and ask some of those big questions. So I would say on the Oxford MBA, we do have a slight focus on impact. We are really teaching you to become responsible business leaders and lead with purpose. And but what's great about the Laidlaw Scholarship is that it's also focused on those who would not otherwise be able to afford an MBA. We know that MBAs are an expensive investment, and it's great to have a scholarship that not only looks at merit-based academic achievements, but then also for those who would not otherwise be able to afford to embark on an MBA. And that is a big element of the Laidlaw Foundation. So Laidlaw are looking to advance younger girls and women. And in fact, I would encourage you to have a look at their website. They have some great resources on there. They are not only working with business schools and MBAs, but also younger girls at college and school level. In fact, what I want to say is I'm delighted to announce, not to announce, we're coming towards the end of this year's class, the class that Chika is actually part of, and we did hit gender parity on the MBA. So for our current class that will be graduating soon, 51% of our class are female. So it's the first year that females have outnumbered the males, and we've been doing a lot of work to get that over the last few years. And I know working with the Laidlaw Foundation and having these amazing scholarships has attributed to that. So Lord Laidlaw describes his mission, and what drove him to start the scholarship was that he worked with a lot of women in leadership positions in his organisations, and he saw the success of his organisations that had that gender balance. And we know that there is a lot of research and reports that organisations who have that balance do better. So this is really at the root of that, and it's not about checking a box and having parity to reach a statistic. This is about women going into those leadership positions, the opportunity this affords to women who might have not otherwise applied or considering an MBA, so that they can go ahead and reach those high level of leadership, those high level roles that they want to get towards. The Laidlaw Scholarship has been running with other schools globally for I think just over 5 years now. So there is a considerable network of other Laidlaw scholars from other business schools globally. And also I understand that actually IE and HEC Paris are also now part of the Laidlaw network. And just this picture here is just from the current scholars actually for this year's class at the Scholars Breakfast that we do host at the start of the academic year. Okay, so if we get into the details of the scholarship, so there are up to 10 awards. We have 8 full scholarships and then 2 partial half scholarship awards. Full awards are covering, of course, the full tuition fee for the year that you are applying to. Now, the criteria for the scholarship is made up of different parts, and you are being assessed on different elements, different parts by the scholarship committee. So we are looking for academic excellence. And I say that goes without saying, it is the University of Oxford that you are applying to. And we are looking for that in your MBA application. So looking at your undergraduate degree, your GMAT or your GRE. So for this session, we won't go into sort of the full details of the application requirements for the MBA. We are actually hosting a number of sort of virtual sessions over the next few weeks. And in fact, I believe my sort of colleague Liam is hosting a application tips webinar. I believe it's in a couple of weeks. I would recommend going onto our events page and having a look, and you can register for any of those particular sessions. But what I will say is that we do look at applications holistically. So you can certainly look to balance your application and those two criteria, the degree and GMAT. And I would say actually that we don't have hard requirements. We advise on what is competitive, but there is a balance. So if you're dialing in today and you're thinking actually, well, maybe your bachelor's degree is slightly lower, or maybe you've taken the GMAT GRE and you feel that your GMAT or GRE is slightly lower, you can certainly look to balance that out. So with a lower bachelor's degree, a high GMAT GRE, and vice versa. You can also show excellence through previous university awards, prizes, and other degrees beyond your bachelor's. Now, demonstrating that financial need. So there is some detailed guidance available when you're applying to the scholarship. And we are asking you to complete some information about your household income. And that's people you're living with, people in your household that have a part in your outgoings. We're asking you about financial responsibility. And if you have any dependents, and that just isn't dependent children, it could be parents, siblings. I would say any financial responsibility that you do have. And then finally, we are asking you to demonstrate leadership potential. So that is commitment to gender equality and leading ethically. The scholarship application will ask you what you have done or currently doing to support women and gender equality in your career. And also as a Laidlaw scholar, how you plan to support women and develop female leaders. I would say the committee are really looking for people who have already made steps to support women previously and want to continue and expand on this work. We are looking for people who can clearly demonstrate what they are doing in this space. And then also something new for this year, so this will be for our incoming class that will be starting in September, so our incoming scholars. The scholarship will have membership at Reuben College, and as a Laidlaw scholar, you are expected to take on an active role at Reuben. So you will be assigned a dedicated fellow or tutor. And then also as a Laidlaw scholar, you will be encouraged to take part in Reuben entrepreneurship events and I believe some startup competitions. Okay, so in terms of how to submit an application for the Laidlaw Scholarship, so you must submit both your MBA application and your scholarship application at the same time. Now, I really want to reiterate this. This is really important. So To give you an example, let's say you're working on your MBA application and you're ready to submit. And actually, so applications are now open for 2025, and we do have our stage deadlines confirmed, and you can view those on our website. So to give you an example, so we do have stage 1 approaching, which is on the 2nd of September. So let's say, as an example, you decide to submit your MBA application on the 2nd of September, but then think, actually, I will work on my Laidlaw scholarship application later, and I'll get that submitted by the scholarship application deadline, which is the 6th of January. I'm afraid you won't be applicable and you won't be considered for the scholarship. This is really important. You do need to submit both applications at the same time, and they both need to be submitted by our stage 4 deadline, which is the 6th of January. So I hope that's clear, but happy to take any questions afterwards. Applications for the scholarship will be reviewed after each stage, and candidates will be informed at each application stage if they have been successful in being shortlisted. Final shortlisting is expected to take place in March, and then there is an interview process as well, and interviews are expected to take place maybe towards the end of April, if not early May. There is an email address on the slide now, so if you do have any sort of particular questions about the scholarship, please do get in touch with us via that email. That does sit with our funding team, and they are able to answer any questions that you may have about the details of the scholarship application for Laidlaw. Okay, so if we talk about some of the opportunities that the scholarship brings, and it is a growing network, so a network of other Laidlaw scholars from other schools, and it's a lifelong network across industries and not just globally. There is an annual dinner with representatives of the Laidlaw Foundation, side faculty, and previous scholars. And in fact, I know Achika, who's on the panel, was nominated to speak at the annual dinner, which I believe was last month. So we can get to hear from her about that in a moment. The scholarship does offer a comprehensive scholar programming where participants get to engage in a variety of impactful activities. There are breakfasts, dinners, and drink events hosted by the MBA director. I would say also our scholars receive priority access to high-profile events focused on female empowerment, and participate in career workshops and networking sessions organised by the Laidlaw Foundation. So where they do have the opportunities to connect with Laidlaw scholars and alumni. And we'll get to hear about some of these events and activities in a moment from our panel. So then before we get into the panel discussion, I want to just show this video that we created with our inaugural scholars. We are heading into our 5th year now with Laidlaw. And I'd say that we're creating a really nice and great community, and our scholars are amazing. They all have different stories to tell, come from different backgrounds from across the globe. And I'll say this video is just a small snippet of that. So I'm just going to play this video.
I've always known that I wanted to study at Oxford, but it just felt like one of those far-fetched dreams that you have at the back of your mind that like would never come true. I'm a single mom and I was working 2 jobs. Life was really, really full on. How am I going to move countries? How am I going to manage a full-time MBA? I saw that there was a new scholarship being launched specifically for women leaders. The description was you need to have a passion to empower women and have a dream to perhaps become an executive somewhere. And I was like, that sounds like me.
The Laidlaw Scholarship is empowerment, right? Scholarship empowers women like me who ordinarily couldn't have afforded an education like this one to help us come here and achieve every dream you have in your mind that you thought was impossible. Without these types of opportunities, and the opportunities to not have to worry about funding and focus on your education, I wouldn't be here.
It really gave me like network seems like the wrong term, like really like a sisterhood of women.
50% of the world is female, and if men continue to occupy positions of power and making decisions on behalf of women, we will never reach a society where problems are solved properly.
You need more women at the top, right? And the truth is just setting things that help you rise to the top. And one of that, honestly, is a business degree like this one.
The Oxford MBA actually has one of the highest women participation rates of all MBAs. And I think the scholarship helps to do that.
Recently, Laidlaw launched a fund for the scholars. It's a £50 million fund, and it invests in businesses started by the scholars.
I think that is amazing because across the globe, women struggle to get funding from banks for business ventures they'd want to start.
The MBA here is the perfect combination of business and impact. It doesn't talk about business in isolation. It talks about how it has a bigger role to play in society.
Being able to represent myself, my family, my country, my continent, and help other people come up and do the same thing. And that is really the essence of the scholarship, to make people know that they can do things like this, you know, because they've seen people like me.
The first thing that we usually do is disqualify ourselves because we think, oh my gosh, it's Oxford, I will never make it in there. Try it, apply, take a leap of faith.
Imposter syndrome is something that affects a lot of people, but I would say that, you know, believe in yourself, go for it, and just put your best foot forward.
Okay, so now getting to the excited part of the session, which is our panel discussion. So if I could ask our panelists to come on off mute and come on and to switch your cameras on, and if we can start with some introductions. So if I can get our panelists to say their name, where it is they're from, and what it is that they're currently doing. So Shariti, actually, if we can start with you.
Hi everyone, so excited to have you guys here. I'm Shruti, I'm from India. I graduated last year, so that's batch of 22-23, and was very fortunate and grateful to be a Laidlaw scholar. So I came from an agri-tech food and beverage background. Before the MBA, I had my own startup. Then I sold that startup, came for the MBA. And in the summer of the MBA, I started working on this idea in carbon finance, got incubated by this climate tech incubator in Oxford, which was under Founders Factory, for those of you who know this space. And so my startup was called Chipco. Currently, I'm in the process of changing our approach and maybe changing the name as well. Yeah, an entrepreneur's journey is a little rickety sometimes. So that's where I'm at right now, but still very grateful to be a part of this community and this platform. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shariti. And then if we come over to you next, Shariti.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Shui, and before my MBA, I am from Myanmar, and I was in the retail and manufacturing sector. And post MBA, I actually joined another retail business, which is in the line of women empowerment in Singapore. So I'm currently in Singapore, but now I am in between jobs. But yes, without the MBA, I wouldn't have had the chance to explore like the new opportunities that allow me to land into the industry where I'm currently at right now, which is the logistics tech, actually. Yeah. So yeah, very grateful to have this opportunity, especially made dream made come true by the Laidlaw Foundation. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Shariti. And then Achika.
Hi, everyone. I'm Echika Obijaku. I'm from Nigeria. Before the MBA, I've had a very, interesting career journey. Started with actuarial consulting at Alexander Forbes, moved to corporate finance with Deloitte, and then started my attempt at, starting my own business. And for over 6 years, I've been running an ethical debt recovery company called Mwanga, and an edtech BPO solution called Yafa. And currently, I'm one of the current MBA students and very excited to be here and to share about the Laidlaw Scholarship. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So if you do have any questions for our panel, please do use the Q&A function and we'll get to those in a moment. I think just for me, just to get started, and I suppose, Shui, you kind of just touched on this already, actually. So I'm not sure if there is anything that you'd like to add, and then also Shruti and Achika, if we could also hear from you. But in terms of what does receiving the scholarship for the Oxford MBA, what did it mean to you?
Maybe I can go first.
Yeah, great, thank
Actually,
you.
what it meant for me is, especially as a girl who was in a very traditional sector, which is retail and manufacturing, which are not very sexy industries. And especially coming from Myanmar, getting the scholarship means that whatever I was doing prior to MBA, there are people who actually appreciate and acknowledge the work that I was doing and gave me the opportunity to be able to even do more post MBA. So it's just on like a sense of recognition, and on top of it, giving that key to open more doors in your both personal and professional career.
Great, thank you. And then Achika or Shruti, is there anything that you'd like to sort of add on that as well?
Well, for me, just it's similar to Shui's response. I work in a very male-dominated industry, and to be honest, it's really hard. You're doing business on hard mode. When I got the Laidlaw scholarship, it felt clear that Laidlaw believed in what I was trying to achieve. Laidlaw believed in my dreams. Laidlaw was confident that I am one of those kind of women, extraordinary women that would hit the mark and just make life better for millions of people. And it made me more inspired to do more. It made me more inspired to dream bigger and to, dare to do those things that seem impossible, for women or for people generally in the industry. So it's almost like you have a wings to fly, just knowing that you are backed by such an extraordinary foundation.
Adding to what Achika said, for me, it was very clear that so both me and my brother went for a master's education together, and I could see that, I mean, getting a scholarship like this is privilege. So your entire path can change. So how you choose to spend that 1 year, every choice that you changes because you have this financial freedom. So it's a lot of privilege. And then it sort of trickles down into different layers, like, for example, whom you choose to speak to, what kind of opportunities you take to devote your time to. So for me, the MBA year was definitely very liberating, especially because I had this financial freedom. And to add to that, Laidlaw is a great community, right? So like during my time, Shui, me, there were 8 scholars. We would do sort of potlucks every quarter. We would meet up for picnics. Sometimes it was very busy, but because you have that common connect with another scholar, there's this fellowship that is beautiful.
That's great, thank you. And yes, we'll get into sort of hearing about sort of like the community of Laidlaw as well. I know that there's a lot of questions that are coming in the chat as well, so we will get to those. I can see some questions in the chat sort of just around, I suppose, the process of applying. So, and I think actually it would be great to hear from all of you on this. So in terms of the selection criteria, so I spoke about it earlier that in terms of that commitment to gender equality, leading ethically and paying that forward. So in terms of your experience of how you were able to demonstrate that in your application now, I know, Chika, hopefully it might still be sort of fresh in your mind, sort of you submitted an application. Well, maybe it was actually just over a year ago, but then I suppose for Shruti and Shui, maybe if you can cast your mind back, that would have been back in sort of early 2023 or late 2022. I think I'm losing track of dates here. So maybe if I give Shruti and Shui just a bit of time, and maybe Achika, if I can come over to you first in terms of sort of your application process and how you're able to demonstrate that in your Laidlaw scholarship application.
Yeah, it's already becoming distant in thought, but yeah, I can remember. So I know that there was a form in the application, process where you're asked certain questions, about your, financial capacity and everything. But there were essays, and I think that's where you get to really demonstrate that you are really the kind of woman that Laidlaw should be backing. One thing I remember that in my essay I put forward was I was vulnerable. I was vulnerable. I was able to really share my background, where I was coming from. I came from a bit of a humble background. I discussed about how women had shaped my life, growing up. And I think in my case, I had a bit of a tragedy, because two of the women that really were very instrumental to my life, my mom and my elder sister, I lost them within the space of 5 years. I shared that with the Laidlaw community. And then I moved to also talking about the things I'd done. One thing with this application is it doesn't only have to be the big things, the very big projects and everything, even the little instances where you have contributed to gender equality, women empowerment. It may be as you being a volunteer. For a couple of years, I was running as the Nigerian ambassador for a global organization called the Women Entrepreneurship Day Organization, still, running, and is in over 100 countries. And I led that, and at some point led the West African chapter for a bit. So I was able to share about, that platform and what we did, how we were able to empower women, support women. Also, when I volunteered in smaller places like TEDx, TEDx Women, of the Bloom Foundation, I just remembered those things and I was able to quantify it. And I think crowning it was my company, Mwanga, because for Mwanga, we have over 50% of us are women. And I remember starting Mwanga with a only female-led team before we started to bring in, this was not deliberate, this, just happened, but I know that women have been a major force for my growth in business. So I was able to highlight that. I think that you need to take time to think about your journey. Some way, if you feel connected to the Laidlaw vision, that means that there is something pulling you. Think through your journey, itemize everything you think you've done, big or small, and then be able to articulate it in that essay, bring out, quantify the impact, say it in such a way, write it in such a way that when people read, they can literally visualize what you're talking about. So I think that one major thing is that would bring this all together is the act of you being able to do a very good storytelling with everything you have done, big or small. So I think I was able to do that and also share with the Laidlaw panel the vision I had, the ambitious goal I had, towards getting millions of people out of debt, towards making, reducing unemployment, in Nigeria and Africa. And I, shared all that. And that level of, vulnerability and really putting it out in words, I believe, got them sold, and, and they picked me.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. I really like that answer, Chika. I think you really sort of hit the nail in terms of, and I think it's really important actually, not just with your scholarship application, with your MBA application, really get to do that storytelling and also be authentic. That is my number one tip. I think for a number of candidates, they think they might need to make up some big elaborate story, and no, that's not the case. We are just looking for real people. So do look to demonstrate that storytelling. And also with the application, it is an opportunity for you to be able to reflect as well. And in fact, I would encourage everyone dialing in today, do look to create an account now. So applications are open. Do look at some of those questions and start thinking about how it is that you're able to tackle some of those answers. So great. Thank you, Achika. Shruti and Shui, I know it was some time ago now for your scholarship application, but if there's anything else that you would like to add that you think would be useful for the audience today in terms of how to approach those essay questions and how to demonstrate how you're supporting gender equality and how you're able to pay that back.
I can go. So I think for Laidlaw and other scholarships, I realized that essentially if someone's giving you funding, they're investing in you, right? They want to see returns. So there were 2 points that were key to my application. Number one, a consistent narrative. So you have to prove your merit in your stories, values, goals, etc. But you have to consistently do that. So for me, it was very important that I don't frame for a little bit of context, I deferred my application twice to the MBA. So in a way, I got a chance to write my MBA application 3 times, and I deferred it once because of COVID and once because my startup was doing really well. I didn't think it was the right time. So what this allowed me to do is see the MBA application and the scholarship application in 3 different perspectives. So initially, what a lot of people do is they apply to the MBA, they put their full force there, and then the last 2-3 days that they have, they devote it for any application for a scholarship. And I think that's really faulty because it sort of disjoints your narrative to what each question is asking. So I would say don't do that. Make your narrative consistent, make your stories consistent. So in each question, ideally you're touching up a little bit upon your motivation or drive, a little bit upon your growth, and a little bit upon your leadership with full impact. So that is one. And second would be that whenever you're demonstrating how you are a leader, maybe pick on different themes, because like we all play different themes in our lives. We could be a leader in our own industry, we could be a leader in our community, we could be a wider leader, let's say as a woman representing how to claim your space in a particular industry. So think along what different lenses of leadership you could demonstrate and then build your stories.
Great, thank you.
I don't have much things to add on. Both Shruti and Ichika has already shared a lot of the valid points, but maybe because I saw a lot of the questions asking about what we have shared in the application, so maybe I'll just quickly touch on what I was doing or what I included in my Laidlaw application. So adding on what Shruti has said, in terms of like just don't rush to the last part of a scholarship application, which is very valid. I took almost like a month to craft out both the school and the scholarship application for me, because mostly for scholarship application, for me, scholarship, without the scholarship, I know that I cannot go for MBA. So I was really focusing on the schools and the scholarship essays, and not less so on the application itself, but more on the scholarships. So really focus on what you want. And of course, on the storytelling part, making it shine through both the application and the scholarship, because I believe the foundation is going to look at both sides. And what I did was like telling a story of how I look up to my mother or the females around me, and the struggles that they have been through, and the things that I want to change, and the things that I have already implemented throughout my work, because I come from the manufacturing sector, which is very male dominated, especially in the leaderships level. So like just doing very simple things that the others may think it's not some grand woman empowerment on gender equality, things like just making sure that the women get a chance to prove themselves in terms of like training them more so that they can upskill through the leadership, such simple things. Also speak in volumes when you like put things down and bring it in a storyline together. So just really give time to weave out your story. Take it as much as time as you need. Talk to more people if you want to have more, if you want to have a better lens of how you should be telling your story, because like this thing, when you're doing, you may not think that it matters, but when you have a very good storyline, it becomes a very vivid picture and very authentic that is true to your application. So yeah.
Great, thank you. So yes, some good sort of tips on how to sort of approach the application. I can see there's a few questions just around in terms of like the benefits of the Laidlaw sort of scholars at Oxford, the network and the wider community at Oxford. So I suppose if we could just get into in terms of some of the benefits of being a Laidlaw scholar. So actually, Ichika, again, if we can come to you first. So I know that you're sort of coming towards the end of this year. So throughout the year, if you could talk about some of the benefits that you've had as a Laidlaw scholar. And in fact, I think I mentioned it, I think actually at the start of the presentation, there's the dinner that takes place. And I know actually that you were nominated, I believe, by your Laidlaw cohort to speak. So if you could just share a little bit about that as well.
Well, being a Laidlaw scholar, thank you, Mandeep, for that, is, I think, first of all, I would look at it from the aspect of the community. Laidlaw literally gives you a community of, amazing women. Some of my closest friends in the MBA actually Laidlaw scholars, and, there's just this close-knit, this bond, that you have because you're meeting women from diverse backgrounds, different countries who are doing amazing things from their, in their own, spheres. And you're coming together to really, just share this common vision. Remember that these women are women that are extraordinary. So the truth is, you're most likely alike in some level of value system. So there's really, a bond. So I think Laidlaw gave me that. In this cohort, we're 10 of us. From different countries, and it's just been a beautiful journey just spending the entire MBA year with them. You also get perks to very amazing events, good events. So we were able to. I remember that we went for the Equal Conference. Equal Conference holds in London, and Laidlaw really pays for all scholars and even more women from the university to be able to attend. The Equal Conference. This year we had a LinkedIn conference as well, where we went to the LinkedIn office and they literally sat with us and went through all our profiles and just helping us revamp, teaching us how to market ourselves on LinkedIn and how to just build that personal profile, which I think is very valid for the Laidlaw kind of woman to be able to bring herself out, to the world. We were able to attend a couple of dinners, and then most importantly, the dinner with the Laidlaw management, Susanna Kemp, and the team. And that I think is a highlight of it all, where you get to celebrate yourselves. And I was nominated by my cohort to give the speech. For me, that opportunity was an opportunity to celebrate every single woman in the cohort because they have been phenomenal. And then to top it up, Laidlaw has a venture fund where they back scholars. So if you're a Laidlaw scholar and you're running a business, you can actually get in contact with the Laidlaw Scholars Venture Fund team and start the process of getting investment. I'm currently even in talks with them. So these are people that are not just only about backing you up in terms of your school fees, but they're also interested in your life afterwards. Laidlaw is there to really support. I also remember that I was nominated for Poets and Quants MBA Best and Brightest, and it was so interesting to see how the Laidlaw community celebrated me on their pages. Like the Laidlaw Foundation is different from SAID, but Susanna took to the page to celebrate and all that, and so you just feel like you have this community that will always be with you for life. And then we are not just in isolation; we're also in collaboration with cohorts even before. So there's a WhatsApp group of Shruti, every one of us, together. And so this is, if I know sometimes some people go to London and they're like, hey, who is in London? Do you want to grab coffee? And these are people you can learn from. There are a lot of things you can learn from Shruti, from Shrey. You know that you can always call on these people to help you as you journey through these ambitious goals that you've set in life. So aside from the exotic dinners you get to go to, in Laidlaw, you have a lifelong community of extraordinary women, and you have a foundation that stays backing you. So I think that this is one scholarship that every woman on this call should really, really try to apply for, because it's beyond, for Laidlaw, it's beyond just your 1 year in Oxford. Laidlaw supports you even beyond that 1 year. So.
Great. Thank you so much, Achika. And then coming to Shariti and Shui, so as your alumni graduates, so, and in fact, maybe if you want to speak a bit more about how you benefited, some of the benefits that you had whilst you were on course, but then also beyond, now that you've graduated, have you been able to really sort of utilize and reap some of the awards of that network? And I can see, Shariti, that you're nodding, and I know that you're sort of a big advocate for Laidlaw, and that you have, and in fact I understand that you actually speak to a number of candidates who are considering sort of applying. So
okay, so I mean, what I found really interesting is that, so this is also like a fundamental difference between a 1 year program and a 2 year program. A 2 year program sort of gives you overlaps with two other batches, the one preceding you and the one succeeding you. But a 1 year program doesn't. So these communities are ways to create those overlaps, and it's not like it was deliberate for me, but then I ended up becoming friends with Laidlaw scholars from my previous batch and the succeeding batch. So for example, I met Echika recently. I went to Said to do another class, and whenever some folks from their batch come over to London, we hang out with them. So I think it's almost like a society that it's fun, it's there's community, there's friendship, so of course that's there. But then I never realized that this for people who are choosing an MBA for a 1-year program, it's an excellent opportunity not miss out on that overlap, because ultimately we want to be a like a wholesome part of this community.
Great, thank you. And then Shui, if there's anything that you'd also like to add as well. And I know that I know you're based in Singapore. I know you're currently sort of traveling at the moment, but have you been able to sort of utilize that network?
Yeah, so because I am further away from the Laidlaw network, which is mainly predominant in Europe, which is in the western part of the world, but like just I think it was last week, one of another Laidlaw scholar from India just visited Singapore, and we're just hanging out at my house casually, and we're just like even sending updates in our WhatsApp chat. So it's like in this part of the world, we may not be able to attend all this post Laidlaw conferences and networks, but we still do keep in touch, and it may sound cliche, but it is true that after the opportunity of getting into the MBA with the Laidlaw, you will still have a community wherever you go, because like it's not only within the MBA or the Oxford itself. You have like preceding and you have like the incoming. So yeah, so it's not like any other scholarship where it's just one time done and be like you move on with your life. It's a collective sort of like a foundation where everyone in this community is shared by or gathered together by a same shared passion. So wherever you go, or like even I'm sure 5-10 years from now, whenever you meet up again, you'll still be able to connect with anyone just because you have that shared passion. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And then also, so I know
One more thing, like if I could add to that,
Yes,
it was very interesting to me that this year, a lot of folks reach out to me on LinkedIn, and they were Laidlaw candidates, but for other schools like IE or I think HEC, LBS has had it for a while now. So I think that's also very interesting. So when I became a Laidlaw scholar, I think that was our second year at Oxford. For the scholarship, but now as the scholarship is growing year by year, the number of candidates are increasing, and it's also spreading to other schools. I think the community is sort of slowly building and taking shape. So I think it's going to be very interesting in the years to come for future scholars, how they leverage this community.
Great, thank you, Shruti. In fact, Shruti, you've just taken, because that was sort of part of my question was also about, so you've all sort of spoken about sort of like the network at Oxford and how you've all been able to network with other Laidlaw scholars from previous years. And so yes, HEC and IE, I know they're sort of relatively new now to part of the Laidlaw, but LBS has also been part of the Laidlaw sort of network for a number of years. So have you been able to connect with the Laidlaw scholars at LBS? And in fact, actually, Chika, you did actually mention the Equal sort of conference. I know that is actually hosted in London. It's hosted by London Business School. Shruti and Shui, I think maybe in your year, I'm not sure if you were able to take part in that, but have you been able to sort of make connections with other Laidlaw scholars? And also, I believe sort of Columbia as well, I think, if I'm correct, anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, is also part of that. So if there's been the opportunity to actually be able to connect with other Laidlaw scholars, just not at Oxford. So Achika, I think you've come up. You'd like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Yes. The Equal conference, the LinkedIn conference, most especially, we had that opportunity to sit in rooms with Laidlaw scholars from other schools, mixed it up, and then we even had dinner afterwards. And some of us that night built, very interesting bonds. And we started to see ourselves even after, the months after. I remember that when we had the Africa Business Forum, which I co-chair the Africa Business Alliance, some of the people I met at LBS, from the LBS, Laidlaw chapter, came for the forum, as a result of that invitation, at the time. So yeah, you definitely get to meet other Laidlaw scholars, and it's such a fulfilling thing, to see women from all over, Europe, and the world, under the same scholarship with you, and then you people you click instantly. So yes, you get to meet them.
Yeah, great, thank you. And Shrees, you've got anything to add on that? No? Okay, great. So I know we're coming towards the end now. We've just got approximately sort of 10 minutes. So if there's any other sort of questions that you do have for our panel, please do submit them. I'm just going to take, I can see sort of just a few questions that I can take. So there is some questions about Reuben, actually, college, and good question as well. So I know if a candidate is accepted by another college, will they be transferred to Reuben College if they receive the scholarship? Yes, that is correct. And also, because I understand with the Laidlaw scholarship, in terms of the process can be later in the year. So whilst you're waiting on that, you're welcome. So let's say if you submit an application earlier and you are successful, you are welcome to go through the college process, and you can actually select a college. And if you're successful in securing a place at that college, then great, you've got that college place. But then if you do go through the scholarship process and you are successful for Laidlaw, then we will transfer you to Reuben. So you don't necessarily need to choose Reuben at the start. Your college will be transferred to Reuben if you are successful for the scholarship. So I hope that's clear. I saw that there's some questions about in terms of when you're informed of shortlisting. So yes, you will be informed that after each stage, the scholarship committee will be looking to make a shortlisting round. So you will be informed. So let's say, as an example, you apply in stage 1, which is just a couple of weeks away. I believe the committee should sort of inform you if you have been successful in being taken to the next round. And that would also happen again in stage 2 and 3. And then I know that final shortlisting will take place. It's usually around sort of March time when those stage 4 decisions have gone out. So I hope that's clear and answers that question. I can also see some questions just around sort of GMATs, and is GMAT a requirement? Yes, it is. So we don't waive the GMAT. It can be GMAT or GRE. We don't have a preference to which test it is that you do take. In fact, I would advise looking into both tests. You may find that one test may play better to your strengths than the other, but no, we do not waive the GMAT or the GRE. Just having a look to see at some of these questions. I think some of these questions have been answered by our panelists. I think what would be great to hear from you all, actually, as we're sort of getting towards the end, is what advice would you give to candidates in terms of when, and in fact, Chika, you did say every woman should apply for the scholarship, and absolutely, it's a fantastic scholarship. So you certainly do look, and if you feel that you meet the eligibility requirements, then do go ahead and put your best foot forward. But it'll be great to hear sort of from our panel in terms of what advice that you would give, or in fact, or if there's anything that you wish you knew at the start when you were going through the process. So whoever wants to start answering that.
Okay, I'll just go first.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to pick from what I think all of us have said. You need to put your best foot forward. You need to do this right. And I think when I was speaking earlier, I said, take some time to really think through your journey, really take time to reflect and put things down, big or small. You don't only have to have done big things. When I mean big things, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of, impacts, whatever you've done, reflect on your journey and put it down, and then begin to craft your story and, be consistent. Let your story be consistent across your entire application. Like Shway said, some people rush towards the end to just do the essays, last minute, and that doesn't help, because the essays are really the way the panel is going to decide who to shortlist. So you have to give it your best. I personally remember that I put in a lot of effort going through my essays back to back. So you need to really do that. Be authentic in your story. If you feel a pull towards the scholarship, you're definitely qualified for it. But reflect on your journey, put things down, and then begin to have it all together in that beautiful act of storytelling. Also, seek support. What that means is reach out to current Laidlaw scholars or past Laidlaw scholars for help. I remember that in my case, it was the Nithya who I reached out to, and Nithya was really helpful because I would discuss what I'm thinking about how to talk about my story, and she would give feedback. So we're all here. In this cohort, we're 10 of us, and I know that these women, these women have their heart open to help, and we have past Laidlaw scholars, Shruti, Shwe. There's so many of us, that have passed through or have passed through or are about to, pass through Oxford. Reach out to a Laidlaw scholar today, to kind of guide you through the process. So when you write, it will be good if you have a Laidlaw scholar to look through the essays to just give you feedback. That's just what I would say. Be authentic. Don't be afraid. Do it. Don't let your mind tell you that you are not going to be picked. Take that bold step and just apply it today. So that's what I would say from my end.
Great advice, thank you.
Yeah, that was great, Echika. What I would add to that is, first, I think I would take the entire MBA application and scholarship application as one application. So visualize it as one application. Make a list of everything that you want to share with the scholarship and admissions community, and then divide your content everywhere. What that does is that it makes sure that the narrative is consistent, but it also makes sure that it's balanced. So you're not just using Laidlaw application as a place to demonstrate your need, and the MBA application as a place to demonstrate your merit. And also what you're avoiding is that you're not repeating the same thing over and over in both applications. So if you see it as one combined application, I think that would definitely help. Second, I'm taking a little leap, but be a little strategic about if the scholarship is fundamental to you. Be a little strategic about diversifying your options. And what I mean by that is mostly people apply to 2-3 schools, right? And I knew in the beginning that I had my heart set on Oxford and I really needed this scholarship to come here. Typically, I don't know, essentially, if you have offers from other places, let the scholarship committee at Oxford know. I think that really helps as well. Keep them updated, be in constant communication with them. So one approach is to just apply and then stay, just wait. And I don't think that's great. Apply, keep sending emails, keep asking questions, keep talking to people, keep sending updates if you have work updates. As long as you're in communication, I think they'll know that you're really invested. They'll know if something great is coming up in your career path, in your application journey. I think that's a much better way of approaching this.
Thank you.
The last thing that I'd like to add on is don't downplay yourself, because I felt that way when I was applying. And I also felt that when I was talking to the applicants who were in the next cohort, the first thing that they ask is not the first thing, but the feeling that I get when they were asking me is the fear and the downplaying of themselves, of the achievements. Like, oh, do you think it's even possible? I've only done this and that. But yeah, you will never know until you try. And just again, we have already repeated again and again, be authentic to yourself. But it is very true, because coming from a manufacturing sector, garment manufacturing, which is like dealing with a lot of blue collar workers. I mean, when I was applying, I didn't think I would get it, but I still tried it. And talking to the incoming cohort, like I know there are a few people, like a few candidates who felt that their industry or their experience may not even matter or may not even stand out, but they still got it. They're studying there, like with the Chico as well. Chica. So my advice is never downplay or never doubt yourself, because we all deserve to be where we want to go. So, and Laidlaw is here to support that. So yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you. And it's also, I know, Pasaka, who so in the video that I played, I know as women we discredit ourselves, but it's all about putting yourself forward. Try it. You never know. So and actually I know that we're just coming towards the end, but just one thing that we've not really touched on, and is, so there is of course there is an interview sort of process as well for Laidlaw. So it would be, if anyone has anything to add actually about the interview sort of experience and how they navigated that interview. So actually you've applied for the scholarship, you've actually then been admitted to the MBA, and then you've also been shortlisted for an interview for the Laidlaw. So then in terms of your approach, how do you go about preparing, and any advice that you would give about the interview process as well? So Shawi, if we come to you first on that.
At the advice, I only practiced with one not previous candidate, but the other candidate from the other school, regarding with my application, because she has similar background. She understood what I was going through at that time. So, but I guess what made it maybe memorable to the panel discussion, because at that point of time, I was taking the interview, and then because there was, as I was explaining the financial hardships, just nice, the electricity got cut off. So I guess it made the panelists very memorable, at least. Yeah, I mean, it just came into my mind because I was sharing this incident with someone else like just 2 days ago, of like how to make your application stand out, and it's just like these kind of little things make the panelists very memorable. But I'm just sharing as a joke. Apart from that, the preparing for the interview process is like, as long as you have really thoroughly taken your time to internalize and reflect, the rest of the part is easy, because like even when me and Shruti were applying, we don't even have ChatGPT to write our story. We really have to like take our time to craft out what we want to say. Of course, ChatGPT now helped out a lot, but during that time, just giving it a sit down and really reflect will help you out a lot. I know, because everyone is going to use ChatGPT to craft out your essays, but if you have never reflect and internalize, the authenticity and also the vulnerability, the ability to just show that you actually need that the vulnerable side, I believe that can only come out when you have really internalized your thoughts.
Okay, and don't use ChatGPT for your essays. We'll be able to tell. We want to see that essay coming from you. Achika, if there's any, and also I can see that there is sort of a question about the interview. So it is just the one interview, it's not a series. And yes, it will be a panel of interviews. So a panel interview with, I believe it was 2 or 3 that were on the panel for the Laidlaw interviews. But yes, Achika, if we could just hear about your experience and your approach.
Okay, I think I had like 4 people. I think I had 4 people, but so it was a whole panel. But when she was talking, I was laughing because at some point while I was really trying to give my responses, the internet started becoming so fuzzy. Anyone from Nigeria here should know that not exactly great out there. So the internet was very fuzzy. But what I loved about the panel was that they were quite understanding. So they try to make you feel relaxed. So you need to relax. Don't be under so much tension. I know this is easy to say now, but back then I was really fidgeting. Remember I said I sought support. I had tried to get feedback from a former Laidlaw scholar. But another thing I did was when I started to get the idea of the kind of questions that maybe may be asked, because they would really want to know why Laidlaw, what makes you feel that you are the typical Laidlaw woman, and so you should take time to read about the values of Laidlaw, what Laidlaw stands out for. Go to their website, read on it. And I think even on the Oxford Laidlaw, site, you can also see these things. And I remember that I was practicing my responses with my friends. So I would actually look at the question, give my response in a voice note and send to my friend. And my friend was also an alumni of Oxford. So she would listen to the responses and say, well, this is good. I think you should, work on this. So there was just that practice. But remember that because this is you being authentic, the answers are in you. So there is, don't try to manufacture anything new, just sell your story, but just be able to share your story in such a short time, because the interview is also time bound, right? And go straight to the question. When they ask a question, try to really go straight, to the answer, so that you don't, waste a lot of time. But I would say relax. If you have done the essay, the truth is everything you're probably going to be responding with at the interview is already in your essay. So if you've done the essay and you've crossed that bridge to be admitted into the interview phase, trust me, your responses you're giving are already in your essay. So you embody those responses, you speak authentically, be confident, try and get a quiet place, try to get a place that is airy, be comfortable, and just, speak from your heart. And yeah, and I think it was fun. I think that was how, I ended up doing it. The only thing was the internet glitch, but it was also interesting to see that the entire panel had read my essays, because there were things they were asking me from at the interview that were, little things I put in the essays, and you would see that they've read it all. So that's why I said, if your essay had already crossed the stage of, application into being shortlisted for the interviews, then it means that you're good to go. Read your essay again, make sure that your story is consistent, and just believe in yourself. And there you go.
Great, thank you. And then Shruti, we'll just come to you last.
I think Echuka covered mostly everything that I wanted to say, but to add to that, I think an interview is just about them trying to understand, are you really the person you've written about in your essays? And I don't think they're trying to grill you. I think for me, my Laidlaw interview was very chill. But I think what's important to note is, if you're really the person you've written about in the essays, then there are a lot of layers behind the crisp story that you've put out in 250 words, right? So it comes up in bits and pieces to show your authenticity. I don't think you can manufacture that. That means what really helped me, and these are some tips that I used to prepare for my interview, is have backstories for every little thing that I've mentioned, and just sort of, internalize those backstories so that there's clarity within me. That's it. So I haven't rehearsed any answers, but as in a mock interview, if someone's touched upon a certain topic that I've written about, I know where did that motivation come from. I know what was the impact that I created. I know how do I want to take this learning forward in my life. I know how I want to use this experience within my MBA, right? So if you have clarity on certain specific questions for each story that you mentioned in your essays, it just strengthens your confidence, makes you more resilient to any kind of question that's thrown at you. Yeah, I think I really practiced mock interviews for both my scholarships, Gold and Laidlaw, and I think that helped, because for me, then every interview experience was very chill.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shruti. Now I know that we've come to, we've gone over time now, so I will look to close out the session. I can see, so I'm sorry if I've not had a chance to get to your question. I can see that there have been a lot of questions that are sort of really related to the MBA sort of application, and some questions that are sort of particular to your background. What I would advise, so there is going to be another webinar taking place. I'm not sure of the exact date. I believe it's in a couple of weeks, but there is going to be an application tips webinar, and there is also going to be a virtual help desk, which is designed to answer these types of questions. So do look out for those events, and do look to register. The session will be recorded. Go ahead, Shruti.
I would add to that, I'm going to be a part of that session. I'm not sure if that's a main session or they're doing it for different geographies. So I'm definitely a part of the India one. So if anyone has any questions regarding the MBA or Laidlaw or applications, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to help.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shruti. And then just so, yes, the session today has been recorded, so we will follow up with the recording. But I want to say a big thank you to Shruti, Achika, and Shui. Thank you so much for your time today and your insights. It's been really great to hear sort of about your experiences. I mean, I've seen what you've done on, or what you did, Shruti and Shui, and then also Achika, I know you've sort of had a great sort of busy year, and you've been sort of part of the Oxford Africa Business Alliance. So excited to see what you're going to do next. I believe all of our scholars, again, as we spoke about the scholar community, I know that they are very welcoming. So please do look to connect. I'm sure that they'll be happy to connect with you and sort of answer any sort of particular questions and give advice about the application. But so with that, I will close out the session. So thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck as you start working on your MBA application and your scholarship application. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye for now.